everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing the Wizard of Oz illustrations that I created in March and let's face it, the beginning of April. I'm going to be sharing my process from start to finish, from ideas and thumbnails to the final illustration. So I'm sharing some behind the scenes stuff and I'm going to be talking through the illustrations that I create as well. If you're new, hi, my name is Emma. I create videos about my illustration journey. My goal for 2019 is to up my portfolio game. So I've created 6 illustrations of the Wizard of Oz. So yeah, let's take you back to the beginning. I'm right at the beginning of this project at the moment. So far, the only thing that I've done is I've started listening to The Wonderful Wizard of Oz on an audiobook, and then I've just been making some notes. I really want to do something within the Emerald City because I like the idea of doing that all green. I didn't realise as well how much the book uses colour. So obviously in the film that everyone's familiar with, it starts off in black and white and then goes into colour, and actually in the book everything is sort of described as being like very grey. When she's in Munchkinland, everything is blue, so all the houses are blue, all the people wear blue outfits, and the scarecrow that she finds is wearing a blue pointy hat and a faded blue outfit and boots with blue tops. And he has blue eyes. One eye is bigger than the other one. I think I'm going to do some character designing as well, which is exciting but a little bit scary. But I like to try and push myself out of my comfort zone. So I've been on Pinterest a bit. I've just been putting things into different sections. So the Wizard of Oz, I've been looking for sort of like 1900s like magicians and things like that, and I've been looking for like just interesting buildings for the Emerald City, and then I've just been drawing some stuff as well. So I think I'm going to do the lion as a fairly realistic lion, but just a bit more simple. I really liked this one, like the shape of his mane, and I quite like the idea of giving him quite a big tail. Yeah, so these are the sketches that I've done of the Tin Man. The Tin Man was really fun, trying to sort of come up with his head. I tried doing like a sort of, almost like he had a tin can. And I quite like the idea of giving him almost like handles for ears. I really liked the backstory that they gave him, because in the film we know that he doesn't have a heart, but it doesn't really say much more about how he came to be. Whereas in the book, the Tin Man was actually human and his axe was cursed. Every time he tries to use his axe, he accidentally cut off one of his own limbs, which he does one at a time, and then he goes to the tinsmith and asks him to make him like an artificial limb. For some reason he keeps using his axe. Like, I don't know why he didn't think, I keep chopping parts of my body off, maybe I won't use it. In the end he chops his own head off as well, a little bit gruesome, and it says something in the book, something along the lines of, I thought that would be the end of me, but then the tinsmith makes him a tin head, and then last he makes him a tin body, but he doesn't have a heart. But yeah, and it's quite funny how in the film you see him carrying the axe around, but it doesn't really explain why he has it. And then here's some sketches that I did of Dorothy. I wasn't sure what hair to do. On my other project where I did the secret garden, I gave Mary plaits. I was thinking, can I do another girl with plaits? But I really like this one. She's sort of got plaits that are kind of looped around, and I liked this dress. It seemed a bit more sort of simple and something that you could maybe wear on a farm. I've done some sketches and now I think I need to work on the thumbnails. So I've just written down the different ideas, different points in the story that I might want to illustrate. So I started off by doing the tornado or cyclone. I really liked the way that the book actually uses colour, and I liked the idea of having the colourful Oz, like the yellow brick roads coming through. So I sort of played around with different ways of doing that. And then I was doing the Wizard of Oz when he's giving the Scarecrow his brain, when he sticks pins in his head. So coming up with different compositions for that. I'm not sure if he would need to take his head off, but I thought that might be quite an interesting, just a bit sort of quirky illustration to show. So for the Emerald City, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do the Emerald City from a distance or to do some of the stalls, so everything they sell like green lemonade and I think green popcorn and other things. Also in the book it mentions that they wear glasses to actually make everything look green, so I definitely need to draw them in the glasses. Then I really liked the idea of doing the 4 characters just kind of looking up, wearing the glasses, and then this would be just kind of different like patterns and shapes, like just a very sort of ornate walls and ceiling, and then just all in different shades of green. I've just been drawing lots of the lion asleep in the poppies. Some of these drawings I have actually used references of cats asleep. Maybe you can tell because I've just tried to add a mane to make it look a little bit more like a cat. More like a lion. I love it when cats put their paws over their faces. There's a bit of the book at the end where Dorothy and everyone come across a China village, and then the lion manages to knock over a church building, like a tiny China church building, with his tail. So I'm just having a look at some like old country churches. Yes, I thought I'd draw some of those.
Meet me here at this time tomorrow. There's something you need to know. I got used to see you as a friend, but deep inside there's something else I know. Ooh, the world seems so hollow. Ooh, without you by my side. Ooh, from the moment I did.
So it's Tuesday now. You would have seen me working this morning, cutting up some bits of paper. Let me quickly show you my desk, which is a mess. This is what happens. For the first image, I decided I wanted a bird's eye view of the cyclone. Yeah, no, I just thought that it would be more interesting so that you could have the yellow brick road around it. Just to kind of hint at what the story is. All the books that I'm choosing to illustrate at the moment are books that are in the public domain. So they're going to probably be books that have been illustrated quite a bit, but yeah, because of this I wanted to get away from the images that maybe you've seen a few times. So I kept the cyclone image quite simple. Yeah, as you saw from the thumbnail that I produced, I wanted to have it all just grey and just like a sort of swirly storm, and like with lots of like lines and just different shades of grey. Yeah, so the house that I have and the fence and like the wind thingy are all just quite simple. I haven't got a lot of detail, just as a little bit of texture and like some lines on the house. And then I thought it'd be cool to like have some kind of like glowing yellow bits, just as a kind of mystical element, maybe like magical feel. I really liked all the kind of fairy tale aspects in The Wizard of Oz. So from like the poppies that put you to sleep. So it says, if the sleeper is not carried away from the scent of the flowers, he sleeps on and on forever. There seems to be lots to do with like sleep in fairy tales, doesn't there? Yeah, I don't know if the poppies are also something to do with like opium. I don't know if opium makes you fall asleep, not sure. Yeah, and I just thought it would look quite cute to have the lion curled up. So one of the inspirations that I had for the lion was I was looking at like old sort of bears and like just old vintage toys for some inspiration on what colours to use and what kind of like texture to give it. And yeah, I just wanted to give it kind of like a well-loved sort of toy. Yeah, it was very satisfying doing all the little lines of fur, quite a sort of therapeutic task. And yeah, the grass as well was also quite therapeutic. But yeah, I wanted it to have quite a sort of sketchy feel to it, and yeah, I quite like being able to like see the different lines of the grass. In the 1939 movie, Judy Garland actually has a body double. So the bit of the film where she walks out from the house, which is all like sort of grey sepia, and then she goes into Oz and it's in Technicolor. She has a body double there because yeah, there's somebody dressed up in like a sepia outfit, and then Judy Garland like goes onto the set. I will link the video to where I found that out. There's a whole video that explains like how Technicolor works, which is quite interesting. Yeah, I'll link that in the description. So having said that I wasn't going to use the pen tool to cut everything out, I then decided that I would create this tiled or stained glassed like walls and ceilings with all these tiny like little bits. The bit that I initially cut out was the leading, in the stained glass. Then beneath that I created like a kind of gold gradient, which I created by just having like repeating those colours, so that it was like lots of strips. And then yeah, I had a lot of fun with the gradients. It was quite hard to know when to stop with this image, because I really liked actually having some of that flat colour as well, and I really liked the more pastel-y muted colour that I'd chosen, that green. But I thought that it worked quite well against having like the more brighter gradient colours as well. I was just picking different like random places. I was trying to sort of create like a pattern, just something that had a bit of balance to it but without being symmetrical, if that made sense. Yeah, I'm really happy with it, and I decided to also do like the gold gradient for the rims of the glasses as well. Yes, so the author L. Frank Baum was really interested in theatre. His father actually built him a theatre when he was in his 20s, and he performed on stage. Yeah, because of the success of The Wizard of Oz, he actually created a musical version 2 years later, and instead of having Toto, it had a cow named Imogen. According to the internet, most of the music from that version has been forgotten, so it's not the same music that was in the 1939 film. I wanted to create an image that had the monkeys in. I really liked them in the book, and I wanted to just have something with a bit of action in it. I just started like sort of sketching, yeah, using my tablet, and then I was quite happy with the composition. I had the scarecrow, I had the Tin Man, I had just like the lion's backside and his tail, and then I realised that I hadn't done Dorothy which yeah, so then I had to move everything around. I liked the idea of having just her dress and like having her shoes in it. I made them silver shoes because sticking to the references in the book. But yeah, I just thought it'd be good to focus on the shoes, especially as that is why the witch is after Dorothy, because she wants these magical shoes. The monkeys are another part of the story that has quite a sort of fairy tale element to it, and basically they're like genies that grant wishes. Yeah, so whoever holds the golden cap can ask them to do 3 favours for them. So it's essentially the same as wishes, they've just been enslaved. So at one point the Witch of the West holds the golden cap and she commands the monkeys to go and kidnap Dorothy and the others. I also quite like how they've ended up looking a little bit like gargoyles. I wasn't sure what kind of monkey I wanted, so I did give myself the excuse of watching a bit of David Attenborough. I've given them slight moustaches, so it made them look quite kind of cheeky. Yeah, there were a lot of books of The Wizard of Oz. I didn't even realise how many. Apparently there were something like 40 books. Only 14 of these are by the original author L. Frank Baum, and the last book that he wrote actually came out after he died, and then after that there were several other authors that wrote and continued the series. Oz as a character isn't really the nicest character, as he sends Dorothy off to kill this witch. He's quite happy that she's killed the Witch of the East, and he wants the Witch of the West dead as well. Tells them that he's not gonna grant their wishes of, you know, going home and a brain and a heart and courage until they've killed the witch. But then, as you know, he can't actually grant those things anyway. So he's not really the nicest guy, is he? He's just a phony. Yeah, the character Oz, his appearance changes throughout the book. So obviously we know that he isn't a real wizard and that he's human. He's come from Earth, but he's like a magician and he's like worked in the circus, and so he knows a lot of different illusions. The characters come to him one by one because he'll only see them one at a time. He appears to them in different forms. So one time he appears as like a beast, and another time he appears as like a giant head. The version that I wanted to do of Oz was of him giving the Scarecrow his brains. I've put lots of kind of fabric and curtains in just to kind of show that it's like behind the curtains, and on his shelves I've just put like different kind of objects and like trinkety things. I get the impression that he would have had a collection of like different kind of tricks and tools. There's a pin cushion because when he gives the Scarecrow his brains, he puts pins in his head. Don't think the Scarecrow really needs pins in his head. Yeah, you find out throughout the book that the things that the characters are looking for are things that they do actually already have, and they prove that they have these qualities. The Scarecrow is always coming up with like good ideas on how they can get out of the situations. The Tin Man is definitely in touch with his feelings, and he's very thoughtful, and yeah, and the Lion is shown to be very brave. Even though he's scared, he still like is actually quite courageous. In the book there are 4 witches, 2 bad witches and 2 good witches. So there's the Witch of the East that is killed by Dorothy's house, and that's where she gets the slippers from. The Wicked Witch of the West, which she also kills. She kills a lot of witches. There's the witch that she meets at the beginning of the book, which is the Witch of, I think, the Witch of the North, and then Glinda that she meets at the end is the Witch of the South. There's another video that I will link to which explains how in the movie, when they only have one good witch, how there's something that doesn't quite make sense, which is the fact that Glinda obviously realised that she could have just clicked the shoes together and she could have gone home. In the book we don't see Glinda until the end of the film. So after they've actually killed the Wicked Witch, they then have to try and get Dorothy back home to Kansas, because they don't know that they just need to click her shoes together. Yeah, so they're trying to get Dorothy home, and on their journey they come across this really high wall which is just all white and shiny, and they climb this wall over this ladder, and on the other side is this tiny village made of china with all these tiny little people, and there's a milkmaid and a cow. This was one where it was really useful to have the different cutout elements to move around on Photoshop, because the composition was a little bit complicated. Not really complicated, but just to like get the houses like in a place where I was like happy with them. Yeah, I scanned in one of the character sketches that I did of the lion, and then played around with, obviously I needed to like move his paw up to look as if he was like stepping through the village, and then I created the cutout version of that. Some of the residents of the China village have had to be mended. Yeah, one of the characters they meet is this very pretty China doll who Dorothy wants to take home, but she says that if she does take her home then she would just be still on a mantelpiece. This China doll is very scared of Dorothy and the others, because she doesn't want them to chase her and knock her over, because then she'll be broken. And there's a clown who I think his name's Mr. Joker. He likes to stand on his head a lot and then ends up breaking himself and having to be mended. I really enjoyed coming up with the designs for the China houses. Yeah, and I took some inspiration by looking at different like china plates and cups and ornaments. I started by outlining all the houses in a navy blue because I quite like, you know, when you get like white and blue china. And then I decided to have some of them, to give some of them like a gold border as well. The china houses were, I think, one of my favourite parts to illustrate, just coming up with the different designs and sort of drawing all the like the floral details on them and little windows and everything. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. The last thing that I'm doing here is I'm just adding some white lines just to show like the sort of shininess of the china. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a like and maybe share it with a friend. Also, let me know in the comments if there's anything that you didn't know about the Wizard of Oz that you know now, anything that you were surprised about. Also, if there's anything that I haven't mentioned that you know about the Wizard of Oz, please leave it in the description as well. And I will see you again in the next video. Bye!